Good morning, good evening to you, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, lovers, countrymen, noblemen. Lend me your ears, citizens on earth. It is wonderful to be walking with you. I wake up like this. I wake up hyper. But I actually also woke up with a lot on my mind and my spirit. So here we are. It's everybody's favorite hall monitor gone bad, librarian, whatever. Because I tell you what, for quite literally just trying to engage the ways that for just whatever reason, eventually it will come back to bite me in the butt when people think that I'm trying to tell them how they should be doing what they should do, like telling them how to live their lives, all of that. And it's not. I'm nobody, man. I'm your sister on this journey. I love you. I am just reflecting and observing on some things and then possibly presenting how things can be done differently. And it's just wild because, yeah, I get it. Maybe I am just a whiny little turd and. My video diaries are literally that it seemed that apparently that's it. Stimuli, catalyst, life happens to me, and then here I am making a YouTube video. And it's not that I'm trying to make it that way, and I do hope you understand. Like, I'm not complaining. This is to relate. This is because we all have experiences and we all have choices that we can make, and we are all confronted with these similar issues. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I think I just am strange. I'm different. I relate different. And for whatever reason, I understand that I get perceived as negative or what have you, but I seem to be able to just kind of keep staring the darkness in the face, seeing how it applies to me, seeing how it doesn't, working to always try and lessen it, and then move the hell on. And because it's literally it's toxin anything. I think it's starting to make people really uncomfortable. But I think I must be like the most advanced, and it's scary when you look at it this way. I'm a biological advancement in Mother Nature, just quite literally able in my thinking process, if you will, just in able to. Oh, did you hear the thunder? And the thunder rolls. Um, did you know that I love country music too? That was Garth Brooks, by the way, but no, it's Thunderstorm. I clearly, again, this is how I wake up. Yeah, yeah. I haven't been in a relationship in years, and um, and I feel bad for. No, I don't actually. It's fun to wake up with me. We get to know people, so it's like, okay, babe, well, can you engage before blah blah blah, and not rules, but you set up your boundaries and your parameters of how best to deal with each other. But yes, I do. I wake up. If you've seen that movie Dracula, um, so as ever, I do these really long intros. Essentially, I piss people off. I am just here trying to spread love. I hate the new don't tread on me because that is actually me. And I'm sure a lot of you can be like, well, does not in the ways that it's being utilized. Yeah, I know. Everything is everything. Um, but no, just 10 times out of 10, I'm not trying to lament. I'm just out here doing my weird little thing. A couple weeks back, I was in Holland, Michigan, and one of my favorite things to do without meaning to is apparently proving people wrong. I took myself up to Holland, Michigan, and I was walking around this botanical garden, and there are geese, some of my favorite animals. And this is also why I say don't believe that you can't change, actually, because I used to have a very, very, very dark and negative relationship with beasts. I have a lot of healing to do from trauma on multiple levels, to be clear. But yeah, so I would chase them, I would hiss at them. I'm not proud of this. I've also explained I am very much aware that a lot of times it's me versus dark me, and that's why I speak on the things. The thing is, it's easier for me to speak to everybody else. I speak to me. We don't have time. And it's too many teachable moments. But one on one, let's do this. Questions, comments, concerns, emails. Because how do you think that I even got to these observations? And I'm not afraid to own it. In fact, I try to be kind of balanced in my videos. Went sideways, but I'm coming back. Oh, slaying this executive dysfunction. Part of the reason I say question everything, just even our therapy practices, all of it. There's nothing wrong with you. I think that's my biggest hurdle in life is just trying to be pragmatic and use the language identifier crayons and certain words because of the particular kind of tone and flavor they're bringing to the conversation. And then other people, and I've had to work on this myself, again, to be clear, to not project our own meanings. I.e., gosh, even just up to a few years ago, I was horrible. Hell, probably up to a few months ago. Thank you, YouTube bullies. As much as you guys have sucked, you've really helped me to, build up my emotional regulation and my levity. But if someone would observe me, we are being really disrespectful. And in my mind, I didn't think so. Or even if I was like, to you, I am the kind of person where I might not agree with you when the words speak, but when I am feeling like I've deduced and made a deduction about like what you're telling me, if you're like, well, I don't appreciate the way that you're yelling at me, it's really loud and it seems like there were just a bunch of attacks. It could also be that you just don't like being held accountable. But what I'm going to do then, now hearing that, is slow down my language. I'm also maybe instead of going to say, when you did this, yada yada, I'll actually, this is a bad example because I often am like, were you meaning to yada yada? Because it came across this way to me and it made me feel blah blah blah. Lots of therapy. Lots. Especially you've watched some of my videos, like I don't like the C word. I don't like the crazy word. Whew. It's funny because unfortunately I ended up using the word insane in a dialogue. And I always try really hard to like not label, but recently in trying to establish boundaries with somebody, I couldn't even get a word in edgewise. And um, this person told me that they were a recovering addict. And so at one point I reintroduced the term. I said, well, perhaps maybe this is one of those where you're struggling, to get more. And this is why I'm just going to say it because I'm not going to dox this person, but alcoholism. I don't have a problem with alcoholics. I think it's actually part of the reason that I don't like my town in the Midwest so much, to be honest with you, because everyone has to drink to have a good time. I drink. I will take long bouts of not drinking because, funnily enough, I don't like even getting to it. At one relationship, it's funny, this person didn't even know me, but I was not necessarily, I was coping with alcohol well, um, just to relax, to unwind, and what have you. But that's not me when I'm healthy and hale. In fact, this is how I wake up, so cold sober. So imagine me imagine me if I drink too much. Just how wild, how just out of control, potentially. So I digress. I'm trying to explain these things, and I get it. This person is triggered, and I even tried to explain to this person as they're just like, "Oh, I like you. I want to get to know you." I'm like, "Look, I can be incredibly triggering. This is not to say that I'm perfect, I'm better, I'm right. That is not what I'm saying. I am pragmatic because of how I understand that my brand of healing, my level of healing, we don't sugarcoat shit. Pardon my language. And it's not about being brutal in your honesty and your truth, but it's about coming to the levity and the balance by not holding a singular narrative. I absolutely, absolutely cannot, in my 41 years in this life, I cannot help but see how all of our conflict, all of it, stems from the inability to be more understanding, to be mentally strong enough to say, you know what, not for me. That's okay. And I get it because then we introduce certain topics that people unleash on society and what have you. It is still a disease of the head and the heart. And as far as I'm concerned, I will take the advice of our society when we have reduced this. It's all garbage. It's all noise. It's all maladaptive coping. We lack discipline. We lack structure. And I think a lot of people think that like this is something that naturally came easy to me or that I must have the most beautiful, easy life. And that's not even it, even slightly. I had no tools. I had no language. I come from a background of trauma and abuse. And eventually, once more people pass, I might talk about it more. And it's not even because of not giving them necessarily a right to speak on it. It's more even that, even in me having, because of my experience, I understand it was them and their humanity, be it their cruelty, their kindness, what have you. The way that we are peopling and the way that humans are, and we are just not giving people license. We're not wanting to learn more. We're wanting to condemn and to shame. And it's difficult. It's so difficult. Oh, yeah, I didn't even get to the name of the video, funnily enough, but if it's not apparent, trauma bonds. Trauma bonds. Come sit with me. We don't like the same things. Ugh, we don't agree, so we're not going to be friends anymore. You trespassed upon my feelings. We've done this before. I've told you before. You're a narcissist. Clearly, you don't care about me. The ways that we are coping, the ways that we cut people off, and it's really funny because if you look at my videos, well, funny to me, haha, you might be like, girl, you are so up your own delusion. I have no problem these days walking away. I am definitely more than a 3 strikes in baseball because it's not about what you're doing. Oh my gosh, a spider is coming toward me, and it's just beautiful. First of all, spider medicine is great. Actually, this is even more beautifully fitting because I'm trying to be of service to community and all of you, fam. And a spider is about, weaving community and weaving all of things together. But more importantly, spiders used to scare the hell out of me. I'm from Vegas by way of California. So our spiders are black widows and brown recluses pretty much. The dead kind. So anytime I would see a spider, I would freak out. And it was so funny because one of my very first showers in the Midwest, I had a big brown spider land on my hair. And for those of you that have longer hair that are familiar with the hair shedding process, I kind of for a minute just thought maybe there was a piece of hair that was going to just go down in the drain. And then I'm like, this hair's not going down. Look down, scream, it's like psycho. I'm like, practically take the shower curtain down. And I was that afraid of spiders. It's not funny. I was just talking about how I was that afraid of geese too. But let that be a testament. People always want to be like, I don't change. No. We're always changing. And if you're going to change no matter what, in my humble opinion, though many will tell you it is not humble. And I will tell you it's based on a lot of deductive reasoning. Not for nothing. In my humble opinion, we change. We shed skin cells. We lose hair. We're always changing. And to not be open to new information and to not want to change your mind and your views, why would you want to hinder your development that way? Why would you want to hurt yourself and your soul? What is wrong with changing your mind and your opinion? This is, again, why I say so much of the world that we do is wrong. We tell little children it's okay to make mistakes. Why do we already lie to little children? It's only okay to make mistakes to a certain point because once you're irritating, once you make people uncomfortable, once this or that, there will be blood. Not necessarily, but some people are eye for an eye. They're going to hurt your feelings if you hurt theirs. Just things like all of that. I went really sideways and I want to own myself. I actually told somebody they were insane. The alcoholism, all of it. You probably thought I got sideways. But it comes back to that, the hurt feelings. This person, admitted to me that they might be struggling with alcohol. So then when I said, well, maybe you might want to consider, cutting back. And then, I was saying I don't have a problem with alcoholics. I have had many people with addiction issues in my life. And actually one of the things that really bothers me is people that stigmatize addiction issues. Because all day long, let's play 6 degrees Kevin Bacon. I can show you exactly how you're addicted. And because it's a different addiction, you find it ugly, you find it less than desirable, and you think it couldn't be you. And it's kind of like homelessness and houselessness. A lot of people, especially unless you're in the 1%, and even certain celebrities, you've seen stories, that could be you. But the way that everybody in my mind seems to want to logic brain it, almost not everybody, a lot of people, they make bad choices, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And it's, whether we realize it or not, it's a litmus test. How people perceive things and what they do with what they're perceiving is actually very telling of what's inside. And so that's why it used to be incredibly hurtful for me when people might perceive me as this or that or what have you. But as I've gotten older, it's just very easy to walk away because of the things that people will support. If somebody who only knows themselves because they can only relate through movies and music tells me that I'm not a good person, there is a modicum of truth to that, because obviously a person in this world is existing me in a way that is less than palpable. But what does that even mean? That according to the projections of media characters, the way that you identify people as, I don't fit into this caricature little box? And then even trying to develop the way people communicate for me it's very confusing. And I'm never trying to be disrespectful and dismissive, for example, but I get pegged that way a lot. So people will trauma bond with other people in the ways that we communicate. And funnily enough, I have adapted many vernacular styles, but we just need to simplify ourselves in our concepts. And we seem to want to be in echo chambers. I actually had a beautiful dialogue and have made a new friend from it, and it's wonderful because it was through a comment feed. And at that point, we just got to talking. It's very easy sometimes to lament and to be like, oh my gosh, I wish I had more people like me, more awake people, or more aware, or what have you. And I've really been challenging myself with that, if that makes sense, because we're all aware. What are we aware of? We're all awake. I just happen to be awake in a particularly interesting nightmare that's really fun too, though. It's beautiful and glittery, and I don't know, I refuse. I feel like that one video game so long ago, Alice's Adventures in Alice in the Madness, or just whatever. Because I tell you what, wanting to just not go down like Artax in the Neverending Story, it can make people really uncomfortable. I get it. It's safer to be miserable, what have you. Sometimes I'm going to be this is going to sound insane, right? Sometimes when I go out in public, I absolutely have to kind of put on the resting bitch face. And I know, right? Like, the world needs what you need. I make people mad on the internet. On YouTube comments, people are so incredibly aggressive. And actually, we're going to go into why sometimes I just have to kind of not necessarily be so joyful. Trauma bonds. If the way of the world and what we're doing is okay. I think I've lamented before, I don't necessarily care for my town. I'm in the Midwest. If the way that we are doing things is right, let this be a prime example. I am a caregiver. I've mentioned that. I had a graduation ceremony this weekend. Well, this weekend, it was actually on Thursday. And I was taking someone dear with me, a person that I care for, a family member. I'm not on a payroll, to be clear. It's a family member. And so my family member was with me, and unfortunately they are at a place of, they're not taking necessary steps, and that's something we're implementing. We're getting more physical activity in, etc. But I hadn't necessarily realized, I guess, how limited the movement and the motion was. And it was a heck of a way to find out, because we were waiting for about 45 minutes on our feet. And then when we finally get into the stairs, and you know how it is, like, we had waited in line to be there, but then as it starts to get more packed, people come in, and it's me with another woman on a cane who is going blind and losing her hearing. So I've already got some anxiety, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to kind of try and shield her, and I'm already like, hopefully you understand, you see in a predicament, it's about to be a flash mob. So we make it through one set of doors as people are hustling and bustling, and we get up to the escalator, and I turn for 1 second because I thought I heard my name, and it was a graduation ceremony for someone that is attached and involved with me. So it is possible. I turn for 1 second because I was not aware of how bad the situation is, as I hear, oh, and I turn around as my family member is starting to go down. And I get her back up. The people behind me were so helpful and so lovely, and it was just fantastic. Fortunately, nothing happened. Now I will never turn away again, now that I know that. And that's one of the hard things. If anyone has ever dealt with someone aging, like, close to dementia, not because she's not dwelling into dementia territory yet. And it's not even necessarily early onset dementia, but it is the beginning steps of the forgetfulness, just leaving the tap water on, etc. But there's also that fighting of their reality. And you can't necessarily even fight their reality because, again, they're in a different reality. It's talks for other days because I don't want to get too off topic. So it's already just an incredibly stressful situation. And so I'm going to walk her upstairs, and there's a gentleman, and he's older, looks to be of British colonial descent, um, looks to be a native son of the Midwest. You know, those people that always forget that that land was actually taken from people of mine, of certain ethnicities, what have you. Not that I think that I'm like the princess of America or what have you, but it's just wild to me. Um, just how rude, especially in the Midwest where people claim to honor Native heritage so much more, in theory, because a lot of the times the way that I'm just to this, to that, because I'm not just adhering and towing the line to what people say to me, my betters, if you will. And this language isn't used, but again, and I love that people try to say, well, I didn't say this, I didn't do that. Well, if you're not intelligent enough to understand nuance and tone and implication, then maybe sit down and let the grown-ups talk. Maybe you shouldn't even actually feel so validated in your observations and your opinions. And maybe I'm sorry your parents didn't parent you, but it's not my job to parent you the way that you weren't parented, and it's not my job to teach you the way that you weren't taught. I had to fight tooth and nail, so to speak, for these. I'm already exercising a lot of control, trying to be respectful because of how you've already been disrespectful and don't even know it. It's like 7 layers deep. So get the funk out of my face. With love. People are like, you have such a chip on your shoulder. No, I really don't. I would just prefer to be left alone and doing my thing and just trying to spread love and not get pooped on when me spreading love makes people feel uncomfortable. That's really it. And always working on myself to be calmer so I can actually take more poop, funnily enough, because that's just the kind of annoying butthead that I am, because it seems to be in my skill set. So, this man is kind of standing in front of the stairs. And I sometimes think I could be the most impatient person in the world. So we're going to actually react it in story time as it went down in my mind. So you guys can be the judge as if I'm the asshole. Slightly, always a little bit, but hey, assholes aren't a bad thing. Don't get rid of all of your toxins for a week. Then let's talk sepsis. So, excuse me. Excuse me. You're in the way. I didn't even say in the way yet. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I said, excuse me. The second, excuse me, I said, excuse me, you're blocking traffic. I know. I said, oh, did you not hear me the first time? I did. So you're inconsiderate. And so then he finally starts walking and he says, at least I'm polite. And I said, no, you're not. You heard me and you still kept going knowing you were blocking. I'm an old man. I said, did you see her? She's an old woman. Cancer. And he talks over me. He's like, I have body problems. I'm a cancer survivor. So was the person I was with. She also had a tumor removed from the back of her brain, her brain stem. And she has vertigo. She's losing her vision and she has a cane. But whatever. I'm just like, okay. So again, you make of it what you will. Chivalry, entitlement, what have you. What kind of world are we living in? And what kind of structures and systems have been so right? And it's not all men, to be clear. What the hell? I don't know. As a child, like I was born in the 80s and I grew up in the 90s. And I'm not saying things didn't suck, but I'm just saying that I feel like in the 90s that wouldn't have happened. Like men were still at least trying to be more accountable and responsible for themselves. And he was an older gentleman too, 'tis true. Oh yeah, fun fact, I was hit by a car when I was 14 too. I've been declared dead medically a few times, so don't judge a book by its cover. I've had arthritis issues since I was 17 years old. I was told I'm supposed to have a neck surgery from the time that I was 19. So I get it in his privilege and his entitlement and the fact that he got to retire way before I might ever and actually got to live through things at a much cheaper price point and what have you. He still feels like he needs more from me. Pardon me, sir. In the social contract, no. I have to take care of somebody. You aren't taking care of those that can't take care of themselves, clearly. So here I am. And it's unfortunate because, again, I'm uppity, I'm this, I'm that. And you might think so too now. Now, you guys might not want to be my friends, and that's okay. I'm going to love you anyway, and I'm going to be your friend. And it's funny, if you go back in earlier videos, I used to be like, I don't want now my friends. My friend circle is full. My friend circle is full for close friends. Um, we'll see. Through lots of vetting, I always include my number because and it might be projection because sometimes I struggle, but I'm not struggling. I feel like people are struggling. I feel like because of the struggle, trauma bonds. We look for maladaptive coping and we are just trying to get by. And so we don't realize that we're seeking dopamine and we're seeking stimuli and we just want to feel alive. So then, like, we'll attack people on the internet or whatnot. And again, this is not poor, pitiful me. I understand. I have a mouth. Let me show you what this mouth do. But I have a brain and I have a heart. I have an incredibly huge heart. And if you are not okay talking about things, you're not okay. And it's not like that's why I absolutely the dark side of the force, the gray side. No, chaotic neutral. I don't believe in evil, but if I did, chaotic neutral would be on the evil side. Those people are bullies too. We all have enough shit just coming at us. Whether you like stuff, whether you don't, because there is just hyper stimulation of all sorts. Because guess what? What's good for you can be bad for you. And what's bad for you can be good for you. But we are so inundated and we are so dysregulated. And I'm just trying to have peace. I am my own peace. I can't just be peaceful out inside my house and alone, though, right? And a lot of my peace comes from not being around other people or from being around other people and engaging with other people. And so I continue to work to be able to be out there with other people because I can't be as peaceful as I think I am if I can't be around other people, right? But if other people aren't even slightly trying to be peaceful, and so I share because I'm sure you guys feel weird and strange, and Goddess knows that all of our system is designed to tell you how much you suck. I'm just trying to bring to your attention when you kind of suck to experience to me. So if you care and you want to keep experiencing with me, try to suck less. And I want to do the same for you. And that doesn't even include agreement. That doesn't need to include agreement, but that does need to include respect and understanding. I shared a viral video of this boy who just gave a speech. I think he was Harvard or whatnot. Though to be fair, I think someone from the Epstein files got. So again, we got to quit giving prestige to everything. It's the merit, the content of the character of the individual, I tell you. That's how corruption runs rampant. And that's why we demonize addicts or people that do things less than desirable, as opposed to understanding that it's still just a product of these corrupt systems. Anything good, anything bad, it's all still just kind of flawed and strange. Because we're still just animals, yet we're still demonizing us being animals and not using the smart part of our animalness, our big brains, to move forth and unity. I love Rick James. So I lost my train of thought in regard to the other part. I guess I'm not doing it because I was friends, antisocial personality disorder. I used to be like, I don't need no many friends, blah, blah, blah. I don't want no more. My friend circle full. That's not true. Honestly, everybody, you're all my friends. You don't have to like me. I love you. I love you because you exist in this world. Hell, some of you absolutely are opposite to me in every way. Working to hurt people, don't care. You're the biggest, baddest a-hole, whatever. You still need love because I hate to break it to you. I just in my own experience, when I was okay with hurting people and whatnot, it's because I didn't make the connections. It wasn't there, and more importantly, because I was hurting. And it's really easy, even to condemn the rich. They're still a product of like sociopathy, psychopathy. I don't agree with their practices. I don't think that they are healthy of spirit and sound. It's like Voldemort and the Horcruxes. They are distorted. They are diseased. It is the most distorted polarities of love. As Dr. King once said, darkness will not drive out darkness. Only love can do that. And see, I was in the beginning, I was talking how well I was doing. Now the executive dysfunction, the tics. Whenever I talk to people about being on the spectrum, they're always like, "No, you're not." I'm like, just give it a minute. Let me get incredibly heated. But that being said, I can go on, and that's just a new format that I'm trying as well because in my mind, I sound fantastic. Again, this could just be the most eloquent psychotic break, and I've just been like, bah, 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 ooh, ooh, ooh. But on that note, gosh, I love you. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. It's only when we start getting okay with potentially these negative things, we will stop letting trauma bond us and we will perhaps just heal. Because when we do that, we don't even realize we're kind of projecting our own shame, our own inner demons onto somebody else. We are literally giving our demons the other person's face, body, mouth, all of it. Why do you think that in sci-fi media and whatnot, the skinwalkers and the aliens mimic the other people? Like, we're aware of it on a subconscious level, but we don't realize it. And we're not thinking it, we're not processing it. So then it comes out in our art, in our media. And I think that's why we are having such an obsession with the art and the media. And it's fantastic, but we're all artists. And we are not living artfully. We're not cultivating our crafts because we think that we don't have talent, etc. So God love you. God bless you. We are all in this together. Whether you're a person of science or faith, just understand you are loved. You are loved by a source creation that loves you so much that it chooses to allow you to be denied, to deny it. And you're still here, and it touches you and it supports you in the ways that you will allow it because you are still here and you have gotten by. And for those that haven't, I truly cannot help but come to see how they're not done. Science has proven energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes form. But my faith, and not just in Christianity, because again, I don't necessarily always see a lot of people doing that one the most Christ-like as I see it. But it's, my faith leads me to believe in, funnily enough, things like reincarnation and other concepts as well, which I think humans even remember. We all have these moments of deja vu, we have these moments where things seem incredibly familiar, these obsessions with certain time periods, whatnot. What is that if not soul memory when we are comprised of stardust and the elements? Plot twist, we are Atlantis, and we are stuck in this time loop, and we understand that we're about to destroy ourselves again. Why do you think all of the media that we have always, that exists right now up to this point, always speaks to these things? We've lived it all before so many times, different ways, and all of the recorded history was all of us just doing it, and again, 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 until we break the curse. Because we can love each other. It's freaking hard. And it doesn't have to be butterflies, sunshine, rainbows. It was in the way that this last person that I was speaking to negatively, who was screaming obscenities in my face and whatnot, I unfortunately, I said, "You are insane," as to not get in and be like, "F you, blah, blah, blah," sling that vitriol back, and then just blocked them. And I get it. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily seem loving, but is tearing the wings off of a bug and perhaps just, even telling them how I observe them or even trying to prove myself right, is that going to help? Is doing a million and one of the things? Is this even the most loving? Not necessarily, but I am trying to release and love. Funnily enough, we'd actually gotten into a discourse prior to that, and I was like, "You deserve love. You deserve to be happy. I don't think that we should talk. I don't think this is good." Kept trying to convince me that we should. And then it ended disastrously with me being like, "I think you might be insane." And I might have even said, "I think you're insane." And then blocked. But I think I was just like, I don't want to keep talking to you. I don't think this is healthy for either of us, before I blocked. Versus some other dialogues where unfortunately spitting, swearing, yowling just like a cat, if not more. Because I am human. And I've hurt people without meaning to, knowing that my words might cut. I'm not above this. but it is in coming to understand the effects of the damage and actually considering. I was at one point like, man, how come they don't consider how this is hurting me, blah, blah, blah. But then I started also to take a step and a look at myself and how sometimes I was actually implementing those behaviors because it was done to me. We normalize it without meaning to, without wanting to. And then for me personally, I couldn't anymore. It's at the end of the day, it's not like the behaviors stop, but I tell you what, it's a lot easier to reconcile cutting people off when I know I'm not giving those behaviors in that way. And I'm always looking to make sure that I'm not. Of course, they might observe me as such, but unfortunately, that's because that's the kind of person they are. I was taking that from them, I was doing that back. Now I'm doing neither. I hope this made sense because, again, it all makes sense in my mind and I make sense to a lot of people until, unfortunately, we disagree. And then I don't. But I'm going to keep loving. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep healing. Almost sometimes it sounds really dorky. I feel like I get to be like a pain, rage sin eater or something. But it's beautiful. Gosh, it's beautiful to feel your feelings and to sit with them and to be able to breathe through them and not take antidepressants or and people will love to tell me you're so dark, you're so negative, you're so depressed, you're depressing. How? Because I can sit with these overwhelmingly dark things as I perceive them, be sad, be angry, but then go back to understanding how it's just a part of the process. And then to be vilified for speaking on to the ways that I'm perceiving them in those moments, or if it's not done prettily, etc. I don't know. Food for thought, talks for other days. Trauma bonds most people, but not me anymore. I'm always trying to move forward in love. I'm loving you this day and always. Keep on keeping on as you change the world.